Thank you. Now let me turn to you, sir. Many believe the US-Asia rebalance, Trans-Pacific Partnership, Transatlantic Trade Investment Partnership are endeavors on the part of the US to prolong its inning as the superpower and stall or delay China's rise as a successor. On the other hand, China's ambitious initiative Silk Route, Maritime Silk Route, Asian Infrastructure Development Bank, Free Trade Area for Asia Pacific, aimed at ushering China as the dominant player on the global stage. Now, where do you think India's interests lie in this jostling for dominance on the world scene?
Well, basically, we'll have to deal with these problems on our own. And I don't believe in the United States helping us to become a big power in the future if we follow the right policies at home and follow the right strategies. I think we'll be much quicker on the road of becoming an important global player. Number one. Number two, with regard to the US-Asian rebalance and TTIP and TTP, it is a fact that in the United States itself, there's a feeling that China is now rising and is becoming potentially a strategic competitor, and US is losing its primacy. And therefore, there has to be a revision of thinking and policies in the United States to make sure, as they have said in so many of their national security strategic surveys, that no power should rise which can challenge United States supremacy. And at one time, United States also spoke about being in a position to fight two wars at the same time, which means that their defense posture will continue to be very, very robust. But as the irony in all this is that if China is today a strategic competitor, who's responsible for this? Largely the responsibility is that of the United States. They are the ones who gave China the economic sinews to become what they are. And the US allies followed. Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, they made enormous investments in China. And now the United States has to deal with the problem that it has itself created. China, with its $4 trillion of foreign exchange reserves and its huge economic capacity, has now decided that it is time that they should indulge in more innovative diplomacy, and hence some of the things that you said about the Asian Infrastructure Development Bank, One Belt, One Road, Free Trade Association. See, these initiatives you can take when you feel strong, when you feel you have the necessary economic muscle, which is what gives you confidence to present these proposals before the rest of the world. Because if you are not that, then you're always fearing a rebuff, because you take an initiative, nobody pays interest, and you get humiliated. China today feels it has, and it has shown in the case of the Asian Infrastructure Development Bank. Britain was the first to break ranks with the United States of America, and now everybody else has followed. So I'm afraid the game is becoming more and more in favor of China. And its whole strategy is to somehow push the United States away from the Western Pacific Ocean, from areas where its fleet are present, where its defense ties are there, and China therefore develops the space to come out of its straitjacket in the South China Sea and the East China Sea, break through the first chain of islands, and then be able to project its power even in the Indian Ocean. So the big game is between China and United States. We are essentially somewhat peripheral to it. China wants to try and manipulate our diplomacy so that we sit back and think that we may have a cost to pay if we become too close to the United States of America. The United States wants us to be their partner because for the time being they're solely relying on their Second World War allies, etc., etc. If a major country like India, with its history of non-alignment, decides to put its weight in favor of the United States, this is a huge diplomatic success for the United States, which is why they want us to be in. But we are not critical. We are, yes, important, but we are not critical in terms of what is being played out on the ground. future big power relationship between the United States and China. Now, if I have a minute, I would say that coming back to the question you asked me earlier, if you look at the main issues in our relationship with the United States, these are the issues of economic reforms and IPRs and investment trade policies of India, the bilateral investment treaty, even the nuclear deal. Why is it so important? Why was it given so much space when Obama came here? Because American companies finally thought that they could have some commercial opportunities in India because the strategic issue had been settled earlier. And number two, when it comes to China-Pakistan relationship, the United States is ignoring the defense relationship between the two countries and the nuclear cooperation. China just announced the sale of 6 submarines to Pakistan. This poses a challenge potentially to us, to our Navy in the Indian Ocean. And insofar as the two-front situation that we are facing on our borders, I'm afraid the United States has a very limited role to play for the time being. One more comment I'd like to make, that insofar as China is concerned and its attitude towards us, it doesn't recognize us as a nuclear power. I mean, they can talk about it being the most important relationship, this and that. They want to imitate the US rhetoric. And maybe they feel that India is pleased when they hear foreign leaders say these highfalutin things. But they are focused on this new big power relationship. They don't recognize India as a big power. When they don't even recognize a nuclear weapon capability, the message is very clear.
South Asia.
So it is South Asian power, and so far their policy has been to try and keep us contained within South Asia. But I suppose we will be able to get out of this straitjacket as we grow. Finally, let me make this comment with regard to your title, Delicate Triple Tightrope Walk. I think in the last not 70 years, but for a large part of our diplomatic posture, which was the non-aligned posture, we were doing this tightrope walking all the time. We have great experience. So I don't think it's a problem.
Black rope trick.
And then this whole concept of strategic autonomy is precisely what this is. That we're going to keep our options open. We are going to be able to, we will balance our relationship with all the 3 powers, all the major powers, derive the maximum benefit from them in order to fuel our own development. I think we are pretty experienced, and I don't think it's a challenge for us.
Okay, now the last round, we fortunately have time this time, 2 minutes each. The US, India, Japan are concerned about China's assertiveness, but they can't afford to risk their economic relations with China, as their economies are closely intertwined with the economy of China, with thousands of jobs at stake. So what do you think will be the most effective and productive, doable way of dealing with China? Each one of you, starting from Banerjee.
Dealing with China. Dealing with China. I think this is one of the significant challenges for all nations of the world. China has risen once again, re-risen, if you would like to say, after a break of 200 years. In its historical perspective, it has always been a leading power. It derives its sovereign power directly from heaven. Its nationalism is not derived from other things. Kissinger explains it very well and describes the Chinese perception of the world order and how it needs to be shaped. And so this is a very critical difference in China's world outlook compared to most of the rest of the world. And this is a China which is now significantly asserting its comprehensive national power all over the world. And so therefore, this is a challenge that has to be comprehensively met from around the world. Not necessarily through the use of force, or not necessarily trying to constrain and circumvent or contain China, but through a process of engagement. And through this process of engagement, to convince China, the difficult task, that the prosperity of the world and the security of the global order depends on comprehensive cooperation among all nations in the world. Now, that's a huge challenge. Very easy to say that. But how to bring it about? Many, many small things will have to be right in order for the overall effect to come about.